We're here in New York City with Arcadis CEO Heather Polinsky. Heather, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So as I understand it, you are from the US, but you are now based in Amsterdam, where the company is headquartered.
Yes.
Okay. And when did you get in?
Oh gosh, about March 1st. So I was back and forth a little bit while we moved our things and found an apartment. Amsterdam has a challenge with housing. So it took us a little while, but we moved in formally into our apartment on May 1st.
Fantastic, fantastic. But before we go any further, I first want to congratulate you on being the first female CEO at Arcadis and the first American CEO.
Thank you.
So how does it feel to carry that title? Do you feel do you feel any need to teach them, American ways or maybe scale back on some of the American work ethic? How do you feel?
Oh, first of all, it's quite an honor. I've been at Arcadis for 27 years, so I feel just an immense pride. Regardless of being an American or a female, Arcadis is a company that is truly purpose-led for improving quality of life. And for me, being able to lead the organization is fantastic and just such an honor. And a responsibility because I want to create a legacy for all Arcadians to be able to look back on their careers and the impact that they had. As it relates to being a first female and also being an American, I don't think about it very much. People come to me quite frequently and tell me that their children are proud, their daughters are proud that they're meeting with the first female CEO. And so I recognize that I can be a role model for many people. And I've had many role models in my life that have also taught me that anything is possible that you put your mind to. As it relates to being an American, I spent 3 months last summer in Amsterdam with my husband, living and really traveling through Europe to our offices and working with our teams. And I've been leading our global team in resilience and then more recently our global team in mobility. So I've had the opportunity to engage with different cultures and most of the, many of the people in Arcadis. So yes, it's quite an honor. And there's great parts of all of the business. And what I've really benefited from in all of those global roles is just seeing the consistent thread of the pride of the work that we do and the pride in who we are as Arcadis and what we deliver for our clients. And that is the consistent thing that is around the world. And hopefully I'm not too American for anyone. And hopefully I'm also very balanced in how I now see the world and I see the organization. Arcadis is 50% of our business is in North America, roughly. And so yes, I am headquartered in Amsterdam because it's really important for me to set the tone and culture for the leadership and have a leadership team that is highly connected and established. So we're putting that in place now. We made some announcements in the last couple of weeks about some new leaders that we brought into our executive team. And the other side of the equation is that I think visiting our clients is so important. We only exist as an organization. We only get to have an impact for our people, for our clients, for our shareholders on the world through our clients. And so I've spent the majority of the last 6 months really trying to visit as many clients as possible. So I'll be in the US frequently visiting our clients here, as I will be everywhere in the world trying to get out and see as many clients as I can.
Fantastic.
Get that feedback and really learn what we can do more for them, how we can continue to evolve, and to make sure that we keep doing what they value.
Right. That dedication and that pride for the company really came through over the in the last few weeks, because Arcadis was in the news recently because WSP, the Canadian engineering giant, made an offer to Arcadis, second unsolicited offer. Right. And Arcadis went on to reject that offer, citing among other things that the offer did not value the full scope of the company. Could you tell us a little bit about that decision, and you as CEO, when it comes to a company like Arcadis that has a board, what is your role when an offer like that comes in? Is it really just to make the best decision with the company and coordination with the board, or how does your world work?
Yes, there are quite a few questions in there, and it is clearly a complex time For me, it's a galvanizing moment for Arcadians because the feedback from our team is that they believe in our strategy, our standalone strategy going forward. Our board believes in our standalone strategy going forward. We've only just begun. I have a phenomenal CFO, Simon Crow, and as a team, we've really only just begun to transform the company and create the value that we can create through Arcadis. And so as the offer came in, which thank you for identifying, it was unsolicited, we also feel it's opportunistic and a little aggressive, and it's not in line with the culture of Arcadis. And so that being said, we have a responsibility to our shareholders and all of our stakeholders, and those stakeholders include not just our shareholders, but also our employees, our clients, and the foundations that we have in Arcadis. And so we took a very diligent review along with our advisors to look at the offer in all of its parts and evaluate it. And what we determined is very much written in the press releases that we have released, which is that it undervalued Arcadis. It didn't recognize the value creation potential that we have in the organization. It didn't have the right strategic fit. It doesn't have the right strategic fit for us. And we don't think it's going to create the most value for all of our stakeholders going forward. So for that reason, we rejected it. But we thoroughly reviewed both offers to come to that conclusion. So you asked about what is the dynamic. Well, we have an executive board. I chair the executive board along with my CFO. And together with our supervisory board, we evaluated the offer together. We relied on input from legal advisors, financial advisors, and several others, and assessed the potential for Arcadis to create value on its own in relationship to the bid, and determined it wasn't a good offer for us.
I mean, talking about value, Arcadis is coming off of a very strong Q1 and very strong half-year results as well. But you're here to talk about specifically strategy with us at ENR. Could you tell me what is the announcement you want to make?
Yeah, so Arcadis is a great company. I've talked about it being purpose-led. I've also talked about the fact that we are transforming as an organization. And so for us at Arcadis, we see that through focus, through simplification, and also through driving a truly performance-based culture, that we can create a strong set of value for our organization, and that is through our clients. It's also underpinned by digital and AI and bringing those strategies forward. And so when I talk about focus, Arcadis has historically tried to do a lot for a lot of people, a lot of different sectors, and sometimes it's a little difficult to understand exactly what we stand for and exactly what we're famous for. So we're going to change that. We're going to make it really clear what we're going to focus on and who we are in the industry. And that is by really looking at the sectors where we today have trusted relationships with our clients. As I've gone around and spoken to clients, there's certain key sectors where I hear from our clients, we trust you. I hear from our clients, we value you, we need you. We have complex problems, and Arcadis is there by our side to be the trusted advisor. We're going to invest more in those sectors, and those are the sectors that we're already doing very well. We're growing at in some cases, double-digit growth, and we're producing strong profitability in those sectors. So we're going to do more of what we're really good at, and we're not going to try to be everything to everyone. And that is really about making deliberate choices as an organization as to where we can invest. Many of our clients have said to us, Heather, I'd rather you tell us what you're really good at and do that than trying to do everything for us. And in some cases, that means focus by sector. We also provide capability through the full life cycle. So we can do everything for our clients, from permitting, planning, advisory, helping them lay out their strategies, through design and engineering, construction oversight, program management. We do our architecture services, and then we also do asset optimization. So that's everything through asset management and asset planning, but also asset renewal and also asset remediation, for example. Okay. And so we're really able to take that knowledge for the whole life cycle and bring it to life for those specific sectors that we want to grow on. In addition, Arcadis is famous for our environmental services. In North America, it's very much what we're known for, is environmental services. And so that is underpinned and brought into everything we do. And then there's some clients that we're just going to provide environmental services for. We're going to be really disciplined about being great and fantastic for those clients in environmental services and be true, again, to who we are and the value that we bring to the organization. So that's part one of our strategy. The second part of our strategy is to simplify. So we are in the process of transforming the organization to a sector-led model. So you'll see a strong theme here. Arcadis had gone to a globally led model for global business areas, and we had 3 business areas: resilience, mobility, and places. Sometimes people ask me, what is resilience? And I'd have to tell them it's everything: energy, water, environment, and climate. But why should our clients and others have to figure out what we do? So we're going to become really simple. We do transportation, we do energy, water, and power. We do industrial manufacturing and technology or digital infrastructure. And then, yes, we'll also do real estate and development, but we'll be more focused on the areas and simplify what we specifically do in that last sector for our clients. So it's a really big opportunity for us to make it easier for our clients to hire us, easier for people to know what Arcadis stands for, to build on our strengths, and also make it easier for people to sell and deliver work for our clients. Because, as I mentioned, Arcadis is a purpose-led organization, and our mission, which has been consistent since 2012, is improving quality of life. And the only way we do that is through the trust of our clients. So we want to make sure that we reorganize ourselves to focus directly on our clients and to make all of our people really specifically available and clear to support those client initiatives. So it sounds kind of basic. We got a little complicated, Arcadis, and we're going to get uncomplicated. So focus and simplify, and then underpinned by that is we are a people organization. We leverage, monetize, and mobilize the technical knowledge, passion, and innovation of our people. And so we want to make sure we continue to invest in our people, we continue to develop, we continue to recruit, and we also continue to refine our performance culture. So recognizing the people who do fantastic work for our clients as the most important thing in Arcadis. And that's what we're going to do. Now, we know that digital and AI is transforming what we do every day.
A huge topic, right?
So under the focus, under the simplify, and within the performance management, AI and digital is a complete element of that. So in our strategy, we are got a couple of prongs to our digital and AI component that we'll bring through the sectors that we'll use to simplify our organization and that we'll use to enable our people to have a greater quality of life and to be able to deliver to our clients. And that will come through things like efficiency. We all know that AI can help us do things when you take your data, your context, and your knowledge, and you underpin it with AI tools or digital tools. We can do things faster. We can have higher quality. We can accomplish things that we weren't able to accomplish before. And so we both have the efficiency internally and externally, so what we do in our back office and what we do with our clients. And we're creating new business models and new business offerings for our clients among those, that full life cycle of the services that we provide through AI tools. And we made an announcement just last week as well as an investment in an AI platform specifically focused on the AEC market, Nomic.
Yes.
And we've been using that platform. So the news is actually not the investment. The news is that we have deliberately, over the last 6 months, we're not out in the market talking about AI all the time. We're actually in Arcadis using AI to support our clients. So we focused on our lump sum projects, and we were able to really scale the use of this tool for 100 to 150 projects and project teams that are using the tool to execute a variety of different projects. In fact, they're bringing use cases forward to us so we could test and validate them, look at the cost associated with using and engaging with the tool, but also look at the value that we can create through using it. And make sure that our people are being trained, because there's a cost associated with all of these tools, and we want to do it in a disciplined manner. So the last 6 months have been a disciplined scale-up and testing of this specific platform. It's not the only platform we use. We're doing this with many, but this happens to be the first one we're announcing an investment in, which will allow us to get closer to the decisions and the roadmaps associated with how the tool develops over time. And we've also signed a 3-year commitment to engage and work with Nomic. So really excited about it. I have one leader, might be a little cynical, running one of the best businesses in Arcadis. And he said to me, I'm ready to write my own personal check. So our teams are really excited about it. We're ready to go. And again, we're looking for the next tool and the next tool. They continue to build out this suite because we believe that Arcadis brings the knowledge, the data, the context for the use of the tools. and in doing that with our teams. So those are really the key elements of our strategy. It's about focus, it's about simplify, and it's about really supporting our people in doing that, and then bringing digital and AI along in the journey to make Arcadis the best it can be and to create the most value.
Where does the acquisition for Citel fall within that strategy?
Yeah, great question. Also a great announcement we made last week. So Citel Iberia is a power company that we purchased in Spain. So it is part of our strategy related to both our digital infrastructure, so data centers, life sciences, as well as our power strategy. Okay. And so what we're looking to do is to use this bolt-on acquisition, really excited about their capabilities and their experience. They've done 20,000 kilometers of high voltage transmission lines. They have executed 800 renewable energy projects, 5.5 to 6.5 megawatts in data centers. So they've done quite a bit of work for a small company. And we have success in integrating small companies and using them to fuel our growth. We recently did that with KUA, which is another data center company in Germany. We did it with Gifka. It was an energy-related company. We also did it with WSP's rail business in Germany. And we're seeing double-digit growth in our German business. It happens to be that we made those acquisitions at the same time that Germany has increased its infrastructure spend. And it's really been great. We're seeing the same thing in Spain. An increased spend in data centers, increased focus on transmission and renewable energy. And so this acquisition won't just help us in Spain, though it's going to help us throughout Europe. And it's part of our Powered Land initiative. And so I think we all know that now we're seeing that access to power, water, is really critical to the location of facilities, whether it's data centers or it's industrial manufacturing facilities or even campuses now. Having that co-located power is so important for development and security and energy infrastructure. So so we see Citel being a really key part to launching that Powered Land initiative within Arcadis, which is not just in Europe but also in the U.S.
Yes, yeah. And then there's also resiliency in that consideration as well when it comes to these power assets. How does Arcadis prioritize resiliency across its sectors? How does that conversation come to the forefront? Is it something that you actively bring to your clients, or is it something that you're finding that your clients are even more interested in now, considering energy transition and all the things that we know about where power is headed over the next few years?
Yeah, resiliency is critical, and it's everything from power to supply chain, impacts of climate change. We've seen the terrible wildfires in Europe. We know that occurred just recently in Canada as well. We also know that there's water shortages and drought declarations that are being intensified even in the southwest of the U.S. And all of that together is really why we believe our market's strong and why Arcadis has a great value. It's in our DNA. We've been around for 140 years. We started in creating resiliency in the Netherlands, and we have expanded from our Dutch base to be a global business. And that resiliency is embedded in everything we deliver. We just recently issued an impact report. It was our first ever impact report. Okay. And it talks about the impact that we've had through the projects that we deliver. And Arcadis, almost all of our projects meet some type of UN Sustainable Development Goal. They are all about what I talked about earlier, our purpose-led improving quality of life. We're helping our clients connect communities for prosperity. We're helping water treatment. We're helping clients reduce environmental contamination in their communities in order to create prosperity for them and their families and longevity. And it's not as if we do that as the sole purpose. We want to create value. So having energy resiliency, for example, is critical to economic development and economic growth. And so we believe these two come together and are really consistent. We recently started last year providing a climate risk nexus tool, which is an AI-powered tool that helps take real-time climate data and support clients in looking at the risk of their facilities. We helped a US freight rail company actually identify that only 2% of their assets represented 80% of their risk.
Their risk, wow.
Yeah. So it's a really powerful way for our people to really be able to take information that we have related to asset knowledge and technical knowledge, but it's always underpinned in, can we make this better? Can we help our clients make this have longer longevity? Can we help optimize this asset? Which all have financial benefit to them, but they also have resiliency benefit, which can mean so many different things. And to me, that's the secret sauce of Arcadis.
Excellent. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about your 20 years at the company, but also so there's resiliency there and tenacity, but also talk about some of your upbringing. As I understand it, you've had a upbringing where you've traveled a lot and spent some time in the Philippines.
Yes, absolutely. So my father was in the military, and I was born in the Philippines. And so I clearly don't remember much of that, but when I was in my mid-teens, my parents had the opportunity, in the military, they typically move every 3 years.
Yes.
And so my dad had the opportunity to go back to the Philippines, and they thought I would never have the opportunity to see where I was born and to experience it if we didn't go back. So my family moved to the Philippines, and
Wow.
I went to the international school. And what an amazing experience for me to both live. We lived in Quezon City, so we didn't live on a military base. I, as I mentioned, went to the international school, so I met people from all over the world. And I had the opportunity to do things like scuba dive, learn to scuba dive, because the military morale and welfare program is really about families being able to connect and still have adventures in life and balance. Excuse me, while living abroad. And so while we were scuba diving, I got to see beautiful environments. I mean, just amazing. I'll never forget the vibrancy of the coral and the fish when I was there. I also got to see development and lack of development, and that really stuck with me over time.
Excellent. How, in terms of getting into the industry, what was some of your inspiration, but also, as I understand it, some of the people in your life who encouraged you and helped you along into the industry. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I've had wonderful, wonderful mentors in my life, but I always found this interest in being able to balance two challenges. And when I came into the AEC industry, I came in through an environment position. And it was, to me, really interesting to think about how I could balance environmental stewardship and improving quality of life, although I didn't know that term then, and economic viability and business growth and investment in infrastructure, and that there has to be a way for things to coexist when they might seem competing, is to find that unique way where they can coexist. And I actually did an engineering internship with the US Army. My sister happened to work at a facility in Massachusetts, and she said, "Do you want to come live with me?" She's quite older, a little older than me. She probably won't like that. She also works in our industry now. She asked me to come visit her and stay with her, and I was an engineering intern for the Army for a summer. And then I met leaders there who thought I had potential and introduced me to others. And then I ended up actually working for the Army Environmental Command in their environmental programs.
Okay, excellent. What was it, if you can remember, what was it that attracted you to Arcadis in terms of the company and its appeal?
Well, actually, I came through an acquisition.
Okay.
So I joined the Army Environmental Command, and I had a great opportunity to really do a lot at an early age and be exposed to a lot of responsibility. And I decided that I wanted to try consulting and see what it was like. And then I joined a company called Malcolm Perney. I was in their environmental business, and I actually progressed into client development roles and sat on the board of Malcolm Perney during the period where we were acquired by Arcadis, or merged at that time with Arcadis. And that was a great experience for me, also exposed to really big things at a pretty early part of my career from a development perspective. And then I was exposed to the culture of Arcadis right off the bat. and everyone was so welcoming and engaging, and the brand, specifically in the area that I was in North America and in environment, was so strong. I was so proud to join Arcadis, and probably one of the proudest moments I have is that my son, one of them, went to college, and he was surrounded by a lot of kids that were a lot older, in their mid-20s, and many from Europe. And one day he showed me on a Snapchat that one of his 23-year-old friends had gone back to Germany and sent him a Snapchat of an Arcadis sign on a construction site, and it was circled in red. And I just thought, my 18-year-old son is talking to a 23-year-old man. Enough about me that he took a picture of a great project in Arcadis. And that's just the pride that everyone has in Arcadis, yeah? And I want people to feel that. I want people to be proud of the work that they do. We all take so much time away from our family and friends to work. And I want people to want to enjoy it and to be really proud of what they contribute. And I want their friends and family to be proud of what they contribute and for them to be able to see the impact. And so that's why I have so much pride in Arcadis, and I felt that right away in our environment, and it's one of the reasons that I've stayed for so long.
Excellent. Now, being in this leadership role, there's a lot at stake, there's a lot at stake professionally, but also personally when you're in a leadership role like you are.
Yeah.
What was the moment where you decided, okay, this is something that I want to pursue? I want to step in and have this responsibility. What decision-making process did you go through?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it was really not a decision for me. It was just, it kind of evolved. And I have so much pride in seeing the individuals that I've worked with throughout my career at Arcadis and seeing them step into leadership roles and knowing that they are continuing to build their careers. I want to create an environment where people can do that. I've had such a great career at Arcadis, and it has created a great life for me, and it's also created the opportunity for me to meet people from all around the world and have great experiences. And I want to create that opportunity. I want to create an environment that is fun and easy to work with, and people can be proud, and they can accomplish great things, and they can learn a lot. I'm learning every day in this role, more than I thought I would be. And I want to create that environment. And so having the opportunity to be the CEO of Arcadis is just an honor to be able to have the ability to shape an organization that creates an opportunity to both deliver value to our shareholders, career opportunities for our people, and create outcomes that we can see all around the world. I mean, I'm here in New York City, and I can walk along the coastline and see the direct impact that Arcadis is having. I can drink the water and see the impact that I'm having. I can ride on the metro and train and see the impact that Arcadis is having, and go through a tunnel and see the rain come down and go down the sewer system, and know that we have had a significant impact on this city.
Excellent. As you know, ENR does our yearly annual top rankings list.
Yes.
Arcadis is usually on one of those lists, among other firms. And what we always like to ask CEOs is, outside of the revenue, and Arcadis seems to have that down with positive results this year, outside of the revenue, how do you sort of check in with the health of the company and know that you're going in the right direction? What are the sort of key, I don't want to say key performance indicators because that's such a cold term, but how do you check in with yourself, but also check in with your team to be sure that things are going in the right direction and it's looking like success every year?
Well, as you know, we've been improving quarter after quarter, so this is a really important element to us because we want to keep the momentum and the traction that we've created. And so looking at our pipeline and understanding where the opportunities are, what our likelihood for success is on those, and making sure that we're making the investment in those client relationships and in those technical areas to continue to grow is one area. So seeing a growing pipeline. We look very closely at our capture rate. So how effective are we being at actually capturing that pipeline?
Okay.
And what are we learning through the process? Because we're not going to win every pursuit. I wish we would, but we're not. And so it's a learning organization. We have to really be critical as to what do we do well and what can we learn from those experiences, and going in and building relationships with clients to understand what could we do better. And so that's one. The other is we have two employee experience and client experience surveys. And our client experience survey is equally as important to us as our employee experience survey. Okay. So how is that progressing over time? Because it's all relative and we have to recognize it's relative, but what feedback are we getting from our clients? Right. What can we follow up with them on? What can we look at critically about Arcadis and what can we do different? And then looking at our employee experience and how is that evolving over time? We just had a transition of a CEO, had a transition of a supervisory board chair. Okay. And so this is also something we're looking really critically at. As I mentioned, we're transforming from a global business area-led model to a sector and industry-led model. So during this transformation, really seeing how are our people feeling, and that comes in two ways. It comes through an employee experience or a Your Voice survey that we do on a periodic basis to generate feedback from our people. And luckily, for the several quarters, we've been in the top 10% of professional services firms, and that's the same right now. We just completed one at the end of Q2. So that's another metric that we look at very closely. And the last part is when I stepped in as CEO, I actually launched something that we called a discovery team. And so I identified maybe 24 individuals in the organization to go out and really collect feedback on how we can generate greater growth and profitability within the organization, what's holding us back, and really get that feedback and then start to look at how do we action based on what we hear from our people, because I think it's so important that we get feedback from the people closest to our clients and the closest to the delivery. Again, that's what we do. That's what we're here for. And so I really want that feedback from the people that are on the ground working with our clients. And so that's another indicator for me is how are they feeling? Are they seeing progress? Mm-hmm. So in addition, it is obviously about collecting cash. That gets to discipline. So we are looking very much about our DRO or DSO and our WIP and really making sure that we're managing that very closely because it gets to, as I mentioned, clear discipline. So there's quite a few KPIs, or let's call them leading indicators, that we look at to really talk about what is the health of the organization going forward, and is our strategy coming to life? I mean, that's really important to me. Is strategies are sure, you can put them up there, a couple slides, but the strategy doesn't matter unless you operationalize it, unless your people truly own it, that they feel passionate about it, and they're willing to answer the phone call at 6 o'clock at night when the client calls and they're wrapping up their computers, right. And they say, oh, I'll just take this call from this client, or I just got this email, I need to respond to it. That extra effort, that commitment, that's all discretionary. And that's where companies like Arcadis really are able to add value. It's why I think that digital and AI is an enabler for us. It allows for more of that time, more of that discretionary time to be placed towards our clients rather than, I don't know, responding to RFPs, or even worse, sifting through hundreds of pages of requests for proposal and deciding which ones we're going to pursue on an MSA. Mm-hmm. So digital tools can help us with those kinds of things, which should make our people's lives easier, allow for more creativity, more imagination, and really more client intimacy.
Heather, I want to leave you with this last question. Considering the industry's challenges, so I remember how I answered it. Okay, how I asked it before, okay. Heather, I want to widen out the scope a bit and talk about the industry as a whole and leave you with this last question. Considering industry challenges, we have challenges around recruitment and retention, but on the other hand, we are hearing about firms like Arcadis adopting AI and integration of AI into operations to help solve some of those bottlenecks. But on the other hand, things such as geopolitical conflicts are influencing supply chain, access to resources. Of course, with Arcadis being located in Europe, they're affected by some of those challenges as well. But at the end of the day, considering all of that, what excites you the most about the industry as a whole, and looking forward of how things will develop over the next few years?
Wow. I think we're in an industry that has so much challenge that it's opportunity for us to continue to have an impact. So yes, you mentioned challenges around us, geopolitical, supply chain, labor shortages, that are all real challenges that we have to work through, but that's That's why it's important for us, is to navigate through all of that. And the infrastructure challenges that we have around the world, whether it's energy reliability or even capacity, water reliability or capacity, infrastructure advancement or modernization, or just maintenance. These are all challenges that we don't have enough money for in our governments, in the companies that we work for, and I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to be able to leverage technology and help solve this problem at a faster rate. I was just with one client who was talking about being able to, with AI, map their entire sewer system, which usually was planned for 15 years, in 7. Wow. And think about, during that 15-year process, how much that sewer system that they started mapping has already changed. So I see this as just a huge opportunity for us to help solve some of the world's greatest problems. And for me, we're at a great intersection where, yes, things are changing, and we need people who are passionate and excited, knowledgeable, but also open to learning and doing things in a different way. And I think we'll unlock tons of value through that.
Heather, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.